Right. Hi, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. This is Michael Chu. We have Sunil in the back end listening as well. Today is the week ending October 11, 2024 for the market, and we're gonna do a quick market recap here about what's happening and what the conditions of the market look like, what we should look at as earnings are coming up. Um, So right now you can see Nasdaq chart is looking really good, right? This is the daily, and we went through two pullbacks, pretty short ones, and then the most recent one was really short. And here, um, pretty much I sold most of my holdings, um, unfortunately, and then it bounced back. So, and we have this one day right here early in the week. Yeah, I believe that was Monday. Um, that was a little bit scary, and then after that it bounced back, and so yeah, so now we have new closing highs, recent closing high, and we're still far from this high right now. But overall, you can see the chart is looks very healthy, and it's near all the short-term moving averages around here. Um, so yeah, so probably the biggest things right now that's going to happen in the next 3 weeks before election is earnings, and lots of earnings will be coming out. Um, I do think there will be more volatility. Um, Let me just quickly go to equal weight EEQQEW for Nasdaq 100. So this one actually look really good. Look at this. It closed, yeah, it closed at a new high. So that means we're looking at the equal weight chart. That means every stock being equal weighted. So it means more stocks are actually moving now, and this one is making new highs. So that's a good sign. Yeah, that's a really good sign and for the Nasdaq stocks. Let's jump to S&P. So S&P also make a new high. Very nice chart, very similar pattern, right? Strong pullbacks, and then S&P was really strong, make a new high, and then it pulled back right here, and then it bounced off. So very strong chart. Now, with both indexes, I do notice the volume is, a little bit slowing. And I don't know if that's a problem, but um, the lesser the volume, the probably the volatility could come in, right? So beware of that. Nasdaq here, it's all right, but even Friday's update new high was on much lower volume. So yeah, something to watch out for. Dow Jones here, yeah, Dow Jones, very similar pattern. Again, pull back right here. Now we're at new high. Friday was a very strong day as well for Dow. Again, volume has been really slowing down recent days. Um, so I don't know if that's a sign of a near potential overbought market. Less buyers are coming in now, so that's something to pay attention to. Russell had a really good day. Like they didn't do well this whole week. To Monday, and then Thursday hit new low right here, recent low. But Friday was a really good day. Um, Really thanks to the financials. So some of the stuff like I think J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, they all reported, and they all pretty much gap up and did really well. And then a lot of other financials follow. So financials had a really good day. So we can, we still like just to finish up Russell, we're still like stuck in this limbo, really ugly chart. But who knows? Maybe this is gonna happen now. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna start to close above this trend line, and maybe start to stay above here. That'll be good, really good sign. Um, and again, Tom Lee was on Friday yesterday. He thinks Halsey. He's been counting on this to break out. It just hasn't. But it's definitely tighter and tighter, right? Like you can see this pullback here and this pullback here now. it's tighter and tighter. So maybe it is setting up to break out soon. And he's calling for election day probably be the day that it will start to outperform towards the rest of the year. So that's something to watch out for, because if he's right, then many small caps will do really well through the end of the year, and you might get really good gains in that area. And financials are, let's look at financials because they're just really strong. Yesterday, it actually broke out right here, XLF. Um, and yeah, definitely ETF could be a way to invest in this group. Um, and yeah, something to look into. Um, and if we go to, like, let's say KRE, that's the regional banks. Again, they're still under a lot of, like, turbulence, but this one day make a big difference. But just want to point out that it has done that before, and right here it has done that before on high volume as well. And again, same here. So it seems like a one day wonder each time, because every time it just comes back down. Like, could this come back down, or could this actually stay up here and eventually break out? So again, the financials, the small caps, regional banks. If we look at the bigger banks, KBE, um, you can see this one also very similar. So yeah, so they're all setting up right now, but XLF as a whole has broken down, and that includes everything, all the financials. So this is a really good sign. Um, so this is a spreadsheet coming from Boss Capital. Um, we look at how many stocks, which stocks are being accumulated on Friday, and you can see that in the top groups here based on the number of stocks. Um, Finance investment management, right at the top, finance services specialty, and finance investment bankers, brokers. And then you have like regional banks here in the west, southwest. I believe you also have like more banks down here as well. So those are the regional banks, and some of the ones I highlight bold here are the ones that are on my list that I usually follow. But you might recognize some of them. So in the investment area we have FTAI, OW, RS, EQH, KKR. In the financial service specialty area we have like PI, MRX, TW, CISO, C1. And then in the investment bankers brokers we have like Hood, IBKR, LAS. This group is doing really well. RJF, SF, Futu. All right, so here we have from IB newspaper. Consumer inflation is hot. It rose 0.2%, and the core CPI 0.3%. So you can see here 0.2, and then also 0.3, both above views, right? The CPI rate dipped to 2.4 for a year versus a year earlier, and then it did go up on the core, 3.3. Right? And then we also see jobless claims jump quite a bit. So that's interesting because I don't know if any of this has to do with the hurricane stuff, but obviously next week we will see more impact from the hurricane. So this number could jump up even more. That's what they said. Um, yeah. So but the market did ignore this. It didn't really dive on this news. So yesterday, Tom Lee again mentioned the market seems to be ignoring all the other macro news, including this. Um, the other thing that I will see in lots of people's radar is the 10-year yield. All the yields are moving up, and it did come back down on Friday, but this is a very strong uptrend. Like it's a very steep slope. It has broken all the channel line downtrend line here, and we do see the 200-day coming up here around 4 point near 4.2, 4.15. So some analysts like Tommy don't think it's a big deal. Um, he could, some people even say go up to 4.4, 4.5. So, um, but yeah, the market hasn't really fallen on this news yet, but who knows, right? Maybe it gets to some level because this raised the borrowing costs for business and for consumers. So that could have an impact on the market in the long term. So at least who knows. But short term right now, it didn't seem to impact the market yet. But who knows? It could get up to maybe 4.2, and maybe market will start to react negatively. So something to pay attention to. The other thing that I noticed is the US dollar has been moving up really strong as well, following the yield. So this also could have a impact as well, right? But again, market hasn't react negatively. Like I said, Tommy mentioned this, his observation, seeing that how the market is not pay attention to all these other things that's happening, including any geopolitical news and all that stuff. But who knows? But I do want to jump quickly to like the market back in the election times, because let's look at S&P instead, and we go back to 2016, and that was the last time Trump won the election. And if we put just slightly to December 2016, I just want to see what happened back then. So the market started to fall in September, October, and then just right before the election, this is roughly like less than just a little bit less than 2 weeks, and you can see like in a very short time, 9 sessions here or something like that, 10 sessions, it fell really hard, right? The market fell really hard, and then the market took off right after the election. So the uncertainty does bring the market down, especially right before the election. So this is like roughly, like I said, 2 weeks before the election, although the market has been trending down in this case before that. So that's back in 2016. We go to 2020, and we can see here uh, very similar, but except this one. So you can see here it's bouncing back almost to new high, not quite, but almost, and then it fell here. Um, like this is almost 3 weeks right here. So similar, right? Again, you can see it dropped quite a bit in 3 weeks here, and then after it again it bounced. So and I can see why Tom Lee keeps saying that he's a little bit cautious going into this near the election time. And this is the chart he's looking at. Both times, the last two times, we see the market top very near right before the election. So that 10 to 15 sessions could drop a lot. Just want to bring that to your attention. And so, if you're planning to hold true to election, this is what could happen. It may not happen, but last two times it did happen. But what he did say was that he believed the small cap will outperform after the election. Um, so that's another thing that we should focus on. Again, maybe the Russell is setting up, right? And that's why I'm bringing this up as well, because so let me reset to the current day here. This is yeah, you see Russell right here. It actually took off, right? That was back then. So very interesting. Actually, maybe we should look at that chart actually. But here, it's setting up. It's setting up. We haven't come out of this trend line here. Let me jump back because I didn't even think of that actually. No, no. So let me go back to 2016. So this is back in 2016, and look at this run right here. Look at this. Wow. How many days of
Wow.
going up straight, and then look at even this pullback right here, and look at it go again, right? I'm not sure how far this ran. I can go further. Let's go to March 2017. Okay, so yeah, so it did bounce not that long, like pretty much like till around like December, early December, and then it started to like you know, do some consolidation. But that's a really strong run right here. So that's what Tom has been saying. He thinks small caps will outperform. Um, after the election. So I think that's very interesting that we're seeing that back then. And we go to 2020, but let's just go to March 21 here. So look at this, very similar. So again, right here, November, and you can see this chart very similar because it was in a downtrend, and we had a big pullback, two pullbacks, and then this one a little bit tighter, but it still fell below the 50-day, and then after that it took off. So this one seems to run longer because this one went from November, and then we have a minor pullback right here near before January, and then we have another minor pullback before February, and then it looks like it tops around this area here in early February. So yeah, very interesting, right? Because so we go back, to today, right? Again, if we do follow that same dynamic, it means that um, this breakout might not happen, or it might be a fake breakout. It could go up and then come back down, and then we might have a little bit more downtrend here, and we may break the 50-day and shake out a lot of people because probably people have their stops right here. Um, and then it take off after the election. Like this could happen, and that would be the ultimate setup. Like I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas here, but it is something to follow because if he is right, this could really bring some good gains after. So we're going to look at the accumulation distribution for this week. In terms of IBD signal, they're still in confirmed uptrend, 80 to 100% allocation. We did see the sell-off on Monday, which give a distribution day on I think on both, right, Nasdaq. Yeah, and then the market kind of bounced back. So here, from an accumulation distribution standpoint, we have a good day on Wednesday, but not so good Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And then yesterday, we really saw a lot of accumulation compared to distribution. Same thing on the industry groups. It really picked up by Friday, and no distribute, not very little distribution on Friday. We're looking at the sectors. It's not super strong. Like when we say strong, we're talking about like 50s, 70s, hundreds in terms of number of stocks being accumulated. But here we're only seeing like 10, 20, 30 tech stocks here. Retail 10, 10, 22. Industrials pick up by Friday quite a bit. Health is still very weak. Commodities a little bit up. Uh, and then financials, I think, yeah, financials like is the one that really show up yesterday on Friday. So that as we saw earlier, the financials are doing really well. Um, so so yeah, like again, the only caveat with the market right now is like um, earning seasons are coming up, and if you have a cushion, you can sit through that. If there's a pullback, if they miss or whatever, like they might drop 5, 10% or even more. But if you don't have that cushion, it may be more risky because especially if the stock is quite extended, it could fall hard. So there's a lot of stocks that doing well, but there's also some stocks that fall hard, right? So ADMA, I bring this up because I just want to use this as a good example. What happened when the stock is really extended? You can see here, it's been running for a while. We did have this one big correction here, and then it went again, and then here, obviously some news came out about their auditor leaving, and boom, like this is a very bad drop, considering this is one of the best biotech stock this year. Um, and it dropped like 16%. And then on Friday, you see the rebound is pretty meek, like it's just not much power. Um, so it's still under the red line. So I think there's probably more, possible, like as the 10-day come down, it may become resistance. So yeah, like this is a good example of a leading growth stock that has fallen. Other areas that has fallen include like the utility group. So we look at XLU. Um, you can see it has come down pretty fast in like 7 sessions. And we did have a rebound on Friday, but still, that is still under the trend line right here on the 10-day. So it could be just a 1 day rebound. So we'll have to watch for that. If it comes back above the 10-day, the short-term moving averages decisively and close above it for more than a day, that's probably a good sign that it might recover. But this has been one of the stronger groups this last few months. And a lot of stock in that group, like for example, let's look at CEG. This was a recent announcement with Microsoft partnering on providing them more power in the future. And you can see this slope is pretty steep. If you draw a channel line right now, that is a very steep slope. So even with Friday's rebound, which found support at this pink line 21-day, it doesn't mean it's over this downtrend, because the slope is so steep that it might even bounce back a day above that. But if it can close at the top, that will be a problem. And especially if it doesn't follow through the next day, that will be an even bigger problem. So, but yeah, this I'm not sure if this, will become a bigger correction, like go down to the 50-day or not. But it's just something to watch, right? So the other one related, VST in this group, um, also providing power. Again, this let me take out my trend lines here, just markups here, just so it's clear. So you can see again where is sleep slow. If you draw a line along the highs, this is a very steep slope. Just because you have a 1 day bounce doesn't mean much, because it's just still under this downtrend, which is just so steep. And it's possible it will come back above this for 1 day, but again, it has to be able to hold above it, because you don't want it to see it come down again after that. So that's something to watch out for. Um, yeah, there's other stronger stocks in this group like GEV. Um, it is still moving up, um, and you can see it tried to hit new high on Friday. The only problem with this stock is the volume. Again, we're seeing lots of volume dwindling down as stock goes higher. That could be a risk as well, because now it's going to become volatile. If it does fall, it could fall really fast because there's just not enough support volume coming in to buy, and there could be more sellers. So if the volume, on the sell side comes in, it could easily move the stock down quite a bit. So just something to watch out for. Um, VRT is another good one. Um, this one also, just recently climbed back above the buy point right here, and also break out from the traditional high here. And this one looks better because you can see the only day that was sell on Thursday, like nobody wanted to sell that day. The volume is really low. So this chart looks really nice, and especially with a cup of handle pattern right here. This is a very nice chart. This one has been consolidating for a long time now. After this superior run right here, so this might be doing much better compared to the other ones. But as a whole group, like I said, they're really strong in general. Probably I would say, even possibly the strongest group going forward. Like, with as power becomes more a number one thing for AI, and everyone trying to secure all this power and equipment in the future for all their data centers and all that stuff. So this one looks really good. Anyhow, so yeah, I just want to point that out, like what could happen during earnings season. You can see right here, it tells you on market search how many days coming up, and you know, so is that something you have to kind of decide whether you want to get into it right now before the earnings, or wait until after earnings. Usually I personally would could take a position in something like this just because it's starting to break out, especially you know all this technical signs show that it's in good behavior. before the earnings because we still have 11 days. And if it does go up like 5 to 10% before 11 days up, at least I have some cushion. So that could be something you could do. The other thing you could do obviously is like just lower your position size, maybe half of the position before earnings and half after, depending on how it acts. Like that could be another strategy. But yeah, do what you like. But that's something I could do. All right. So personally, I haven't been too active, and one of the reasons I haven't been too active is if you look at the advanced decline line right here for New York Stock Exchange, it was actually trending down for the last like almost 2 weeks here. And yesterday was actually a very positive day for this line. So like you can see 1800 stocks versus 400 stocks down, up versus down. So the breadth actually improved significantly on Friday. And thanks to I think the financials really helped lead the way yesterday. And and that's a really good sign, I think, for the market because if another sector, and we saw earlier, financials are XLF is breaking out, that could take, pass the baton to them, and they could lead the market higher. Again, because so many financials are small caps, um, depending on how Russell do, it might not last long, right? Based on recent months, because the Russell just haven't done well. So I don't know if it's a 1 day thing, but at least this is a good sign. At least it finally bounced back. But that's the reason why, for me personally, I haven't been as active. But maybe I could get into some financials going forward. Um, here the Nasdaq very similar. Like it was kind of like trending down, and but Friday also have a really good day here, 2600 versus 800. So that's more than three times ratio. So that's really good. Like again, very strong day for both for all the stock market in general. So really positive sign. But again, earnings season is coming up and elections coming up. So who knows if the headwind will change? And let's see. So how did the semiconductor group do this week? Well, very similar chart to some Nasdaq. It basically hitting new closing high, recent closing high. Um, like again, volume is drying up really big time. That's probably the number one negative thing that I'm seeing right now. Um, you want the opposite to be true. You want when it's trending up, you want volume like continue to pick up, especially if it's in the base. Um, and even when it's not in the base, even then you want to see occasional buyers come in on high volume. But this is and also the other thing I don't like about this chart is like despite this run right here, look at how many sessions it take to even come up right here in the middle. We are nowhere close to the top, so that's another problem. So to me, this longer term picture looks more weak. Than yeah. So that's the one problem. So let's jump to some stocks. Nvidia. Uh, Nvidia has been acting really well recently. Again, same problem here. We have this. We did break out though this week, right? On this right here on Monday. Yeah, Monday. And then it did fall through as well. So that's a good sign. The only problem again is like volume is really getting lower and lower and lower. And then they announced I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's news that their Blackwell demand is like the CEO said really insane. They sold all their Blackwell production. I don't know if that's again I didn't pay attention to it, so I don't know if that news is rumor or real. But let's assume it's real. Then yeah, like what like the problem is why is this stock not hitting new high on such good news? I mean it's near new high, but it's not at new high. Um, and volume is kind of really low here. Like like if you look at this volume right here, the volume was really low right before this drop, and then you can see as let me move this bar right here, and as the volume start to pick up on the sell side, and that's when it starts to drop even faster, right? So something to pay attention to. Um, Next one, let's go to AMD. So last week we saw AMD doing pretty well, and this week it kind of fall back. Um, yeah. So I think they did come up with some projections. I can't remember. Oh yeah, they have that AMD conference or something. But somehow it wasn't the numbers that they project wasn't as good as people had hoped. So um, yeah, so that's the problem there. I did see a really one day volume, big volume there, probably due to that sell off from that news. So that really put it back to the short term moving average. Then we have let's look at ARM. So this one again, I'm not sure. Like I mean, for me, I maybe I'm I'm always trading like high strong beta growth stock. But when I see stocks like moving up, like I mean, this is tight action. Don't get me wrong, but it's moving up pretty slow just to get up to the previous high, right? And the volume. Look at this volume. It's like getting lower and lower. That's yeah, because what happens if volume start to come in on the sell side? Like what would happen to the price, right? It could fall pretty hard. So because there's no buying volume, so that's another problem. So there's ARM, and then we're gonna look at TSM. So TSM already report their sales number, which was I think better than expected, but I don't know. I feel like it didn't react as strong as it should. It did, move on Friday and Wednesday. I think after that news, it did kind of reverse and bounce back up. So I mean, you can take that as a positive for sure. Um, yeah, again, this stock is I guess they will be reporting soon this week, so maybe that will be the time it will break out. But yeah, TSM has been a really strong leader. So I would pay attention to this. It definitely will impact all the chips area. Um, and I do think that they're a partner of Nvidia, so that will also be important for Nvidia. Um, and yeah, like I mean, Thursday's volume is really good right here. No one wants to sell on that day on the down day, so that's dry up in volume. So this is good news. Looks good for TSM. All right, let's jump to the software group. Um, IGV, surprisingly, you can see it is moving up nicely. 45-degree angle. That's very strong uptrend. And we talked about this quite a few times now. It built this base and then another cup with handle base, and it still didn't really take off. And then finally, right here, this tightness here is a good sign. Um, and then we have this one day this week on Monday that pulls back, but the volume was okay, so it wasn't too bad. And then we saw volume pick back up right after on the buy side. So this is what you want to see as it breaks out and move towards new high, higher volume. Looks really good. Um, so let's look at some mega cap first. Let's jump to Microsoft. Now the big caps, definitely not doing as well in some cases. So this is Microsoft. It's on a downtrend. It's finding resistance on the short-term moving average. So this will report in October 30th. So yeah, still quite more than 2 weeks away. Yeah, it, but right now it's not acting well. It's sitting at the 50-day, the 100-day. All the moving averages are converging right here. So it looks like a little spring coiling up right now. It can move big one way or the other. Which way will go, I have no idea. Um, and it's weird that this chart is acting so weak. So quite interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but a lot of the big caps have been acting really weak, and most analysts do agree that the big caps are kind of done for this year, meaning they're not going to outperform it anyway no more because they have such big gains from this year. So most of them are up pretty strong. So this is Amazon, with the Prime dates and stuff. Again, um, even with the numbers and stuff that was so good, but yet the stock didn't really move much. Again, volume. Look at the volume here. Just really died down on the. That's weird, right? Like, why is it so low when it's moving up? So that's really weird. Anyhow, let's move to Google. So Google, I mean, it definitely found resistance the week before, and then this week it just, you see, it couldn't make new highs again. Um, so that's also not a good sign. We do a draw a long-term trend line, it will look like this. Um, and it's just, yeah, it's just most of this, I don't know, they're just not doing really well. They're like sitting on the bottom half of the base, and even with this strong, like, to be clear, we've been on the uptrend since like September, like second week of September. So it's about a month now, and yet all these big caps just not moving on such a strong market. So obviously there's just no one's buying. That's the biggest problem. Now, one stock that is really doing well is Meta, and I've been talking about this for a few weeks now since they announced um, their new 3S what they call it, like a headset, virtual reality headset, and this stock has been doing well, and even this one kind of didn't move this week, which is also weird because it's just a strong week, right? And yet it didn't move much, but it's holding, so you can look at it from that side. We're gonna jump to Apple right now. Um, so this one is looks slightly better than a lot of the big caps just because it's sitting more in the half, right, top half here of the base. But yeah, it's again, it's just stuck in a range right now, range bound. Again, volume, like, that's the one common theme I keep seeing this week. Is like the volume just getting lower and lower. Um, and yeah, it seems like the buyers are drying up, which is not a good sign, especially on such a good market. Let's jump to Tesla. So the big news from Thursday, the event, was disappointing from investors' point of view because they didn't announce a cheaper car. Um, and that really took the hammer down on it for around close to 9%. And yeah, so this chart is now broken. It was a nice cup with handle, and it broke right here. Um, yeah, so who knows where it's gonna go? It might probably test the 200-day first, and it could go even lower. If the market direction start to weaken. Um, one more stock we'll look at, Netflix. Um, yeah, this one, kind of weird because like it just broke out and it just moved so slow. Like nothing wrong with it. Like if you're a longer term holder, this might be okay. But we are seeing Netflix gonna report this week, so maybe and this is a stock that usually move big on earnings. So you can see here, this one was up, this one was down, this one was a reversal. So the last two times wasn't so good. Um, so we'll see what happened here. All right, thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. We'll make another video probably coming out on Sunday for the stock list that growth stocks I follow. And like I said, we'll pay more attention to the financials because there's lots of good stocks in that group. Thank you for watching. Bye now.